Hello, it's Yvonne, and thank you so much for joining us for another Mornings with Mayesh. Today, the ever-inspiring author, educator, and florist, Sue Mcleary, will be my guest to discuss Flowers for All, her brand new book filled with modern floral arrangements for beauty, joy, and mindfulness every day. Yes, I love it. Sue wrote this book for flower people, not just obsessed florists like herself. Learn more about this wonderful publication featuring 30 different designs from the author herself. So before we get into it, Sue, I just had a few things I wanted to share with our audience while I have everyone here, because we have so much going on at Mayesh, guys, and I want to make sure that you know all about it. Normally I have links and things like that I share, but everything that I'm going to talk about is on mayesh.com. So you guys can find everything there either on our blog or on our homepage. So first up is I just wanted to make sure that you guys know, after an incredible start to our 2023 sustainability focused Design Star series, we're really excited to announce Heather Sardola of Blossom and Bone Florals. She is our next 2023 Mayesh Design Star. So welcome, Heather, to the family. She received her BA in Sustainability from UNC, and she has her own business based in Durham, North Carolina. So meet Heather in our latest blog post and stay tuned for her first video premiere later this week. So just wanted to bring that up, especially since we have Sue here, since she was our first 2023 Mayesh Design Star and did an amazing job, a great way to kick off the year. Next up, I wanted to make sure that you guys know about our design tour. We had a very successful first workshop in Cleveland last week. And hopefully you saw some of the posts on our story. If you're thinking about coming, grab your tickets for one of our two upcoming dates, Phoenix and Houston, happening at the end of the week. At the end of this month. We'll be closing registration soon, so don't delay. Again, the link is up there. And then the last thing is our David Austin wedding rose package. People love that. We're doing it again this year. We partnered with them. It's a very special volume promotion. And this year's program is a little bit different. We have 4 different color palettes to choose from, each with its own lead and supporting roses. And as always, quantities are limited, so make sure that you check it out. And again, that's up on mayesh.com. You can find it on our shop menu. Okay, Sue, let's get started. Yay! Okay, first of all, thank you. Can you hear me okay? Because I am realizing I hear myself through my computer, so I sound great, but I'm talking into the phone, which is in the tissue box. So can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
So actually, let me put in...
Really in a tissue box?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in a tissue box. It's a little bizarre. So, Sue, while we get started, how about, for everyone that doesn't know you, and hopefully most people do, but for those that might not, can you introduce yourself and share a little bit about your flower story?
Yeah. So I'm Sue Mcleary. I'm a florist in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I started a little over 20 years ago when a friend of mine asked me to design her wedding flowers. And I didn't know that I would instantly love the task, but I really did. It was like, this is my medium. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I really jumped in and became completely obsessed with floristry right from the start. And over the years, found that I loved kind of the tinkering and tweaking and kind of like working through pain points that florists have and trying to offer a solution. I loved that process more than the designing that I was doing for weddings and events and so on. So I transitioned to teaching and writing about floristry about 5 years ago is when I started my online classes. Yeah, and that's been my main focus ever since. And I'm really happy that I get to do that.
And I'm glad that you do that too, because you really are amazing at what you do. You inspire so many people. And so I love that you did a book, and why don't you share with us what inspired you to take on creating and publishing Flowers for All?
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, I started working with Chronicle Books on my first book, The Art of Wearable Flowers, and that was kind of a love letter to all the small handiwork that florists do that I love. But this second book is meant for a broader audience. It's meant to be like an affordable, accessible welcome into floristry for anyone who's interested. So there's some really, really simple design principles and mechanics in the front of the book to welcome people in and get them oriented. And then there's about 30 projects from super, super simple and kind of meditative to larger and a little bit more complex for people that are already into floristry. But really the point of the book is to welcome everyone to participate and just be more interested in designing with flowers, because I feel like the more we can interest the public, make them curious about what it is that we do, the better, you know, we can elevate our profession even faster. The more they're interested, the more they're curious. So the book is meant to do that.
Yeah, I love it. I love the book. And can you share with us, Sue, who your intended audience is and kind of what you hope, beyond what you just said,
Yeah.
what they can gain from this book?
Yeah, I see this book like at, you know, retail flower shops, and maybe there's customers who are interested in floristry, but they don't want to be florists themselves. This would be a perfect like little gift book that they could pick up for themselves or for a friend. It's great to accompany like a workshop. There's little projects in there that are really accessible, like I said, and really approachable for novices or people who are kind of interested in floristry. Yeah, I mean, it's like a Mother's Day gift, you know, anybody who loves gardening, anybody who loves just working with nature or is interested in nature or gardening.
Yeah. And in the book, Sue, I know you have it split up in like different sections. Can you talk about that? Because I feel like that'll definitely give people some insight too on kind of your thought process in creating this and how it was organized for people.
Yeah, I like segmenting things. It makes me feel organized because I'm not naturally organized. So I segmented the book into 3 chunks. There's Flowers for Me, which are little tiny meditative, like simple things you might do in your home. Flowers for Friends, which takes it up a little bit more, you know, gift arrangements, things you might design in your home if you're welcoming friends into your home. And then Flowers for All are more celebratory, larger installations, still approachable and still, I think, doable for anyone, regardless of skill level, but larger, a little bit more involved. So yeah, Flowers for Me is really just like welcoming people to take the, like take any excuse to buy flowers for themselves, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like I do this all the time. It might not be good, like financial advice, but anytime I go to the flower market and there's something interesting that I know if I don't buy it and I don't make like my dollars say, bring this in, then it might not come back. Like if you go to the flower market and there's something really funky and you can just pick up that bunch and like with your money, you're saying this cool thing is of value to me, the more those things will come into the market, you know? So I always buy the weirdos. I always buy the things that, you know, I know the buyer took a chance to like bring it in because it's unusual and maybe not to everybody's liking. But the more we do that, the more we like promote the idea that these interesting, curiosity-provoking materials are valuable to us. And I think we need to do that as florists because we can't carry the same materials that, you know, the grocery store carries or, you know, Trader Joe's carries. We have to bring in things that are super interesting so we can grab people's attention and make them curious.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And Sue, when you're creating a book, right, this is your second one, what is your most favorite part of the whole creation process? Like, what is that like? Because I'm imagining it's a very long process and, you know, labor of love, if you will, and people call them babies sometimes when they're done with them because they're like, they feel like, you know, so much goes into it. So what is your favorite part of the process?
I think my favorite part is when kind of all the projects are done and you've selected what will be in the book, and then you get to sit down and write your feelings about why those are important. You know, you can really like sit with the projects and decide what words to choose to express how you know, express yourself through flowers. So
Right.
I guess the writing, when it comes to the books, the writing is the most satisfying because I know those words will be permanent, you know, and that's really like it sits with you. It's like, that's a big deal, you know, that I get to write this and it gets to stay in this book forever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So how many, I know, so you've the Flowers for All designs, there's 30 designs,
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm.
And you know, which one is your favorite? Like, or do you have like a favorite for each section? Kind of the flowers for me, flowers, you know, for
Yeah.
friends, flowers for all kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think my favorites are always the simplest because I don't know. I don't know if you florists feel this way, but when I design for myself, the simplest things are the most satisfying and the most like calm inducing. So I really love this really simple crown of daffodils. I also love that like daffodils are seen as this flower that's not, you know, that special, just these ordinary kind of yellow daffodils. And I also love that they're kind of fleeting. The petals die really quickly, but if you peel off the petals, then you have this cool like inner trumpet that you can use kind of like beads. And I just love simple things like that. When you can take a flower and like give it another life before it just goes into the compost. Those things are really satisfying to me. Let's see.
I agree with you though. I like simple flowers too the best, honestly.
Calls. This is
Of
another
course.
really simple project. It's just like a collection of vases with some really cool locally grown flowers in them, but nothing that takes like a lot of skill or knowledge. It's just like a careful selection of colors and forms. And I think that's a really nice thing to kind of have in your back pocket. You can create something impactful without, you know, spending a lot of money and without having to gather a lot of materials. Just careful color selection and form selection can be a really satisfying, impactful composition. So I don't know, the simpler, the better for me lately.
Yeah, yeah. I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So what was everyone else's favorites of the ones that Sue showed? And anyone that's watching or listening?
Or just
Have you
petals.
gotten-
You know,
Yes.
just like
So
making
beautiful.
little scapes out of petals is really fun too. And another way to give flowers a life before you compost them.
Yeah, yes. I know, but for who has a book already? I want to know. I know a few people already that bought it. And if you do you have your own favorite? I want to know. Share with us. Sue wants to know, I'm sure. What is your favorite? Right?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love the book just in general. My girls love the book too. So it's been sitting on my desk. So I was showing them. And I love the one, there's like a wall, right? And I love how you described it. I think you called it living wallpaper. Like the way you described it is just really, really cool.
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Okay, so this is real florist life. My phone is always about to die, and I've got it balanced with 3 little vases. So, okay, we're back. Yeah, so this one, this is something, you know, that florists would do. These are forsythia branches, and then I have them tubed with these really big flower, water tubes rather. They're 5-inch water tubes. And then they're attached to the wall. So for an ordinary person, they might see this and think, I'll never do that. But they could take one branch, you know, one branch and put a water tube and hang it on the wall and have something really artful and beautiful. And it's just a simple idea to kind of tuck into your back pocket. you know, to create like a really cool backdrop for, I don't know, a head table or a sweetheart table or a place card situation for a reception. So yeah, lately for me, the simpler, the better.
Yeah.
And I just love yellow. I'm trying to use yellow as much as I can.
Yeah.
I just love it.
It's stunning. And again, I like the way you described it, living wallpaper. Like, I want living wallpaper in my house.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
Right? I had a question come in from Jordan McGee. They ask, do you ever use alum powder? Or is it alum?
Alum.
Alum? Is that how you pronounce it?
You know, I
I should know that, but I don't.
Yeah, alum is used, I think, to perk up hydrangea that's wilting or other flowers. It kind of, maybe it promotes uptake of water into the cellular structure of the stem. I've never had it in the studio. I've never needed to use it. I have used Quick Dip, so that's a florist special magic juice that you put in a little cup and you cut woody stems and you dip them quickly and it promotes water uptake. But I haven't used alum myself, and I always want to say allium, but it's alum. Yeah.
Yes, I know. Me too. I'm like, I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't use it ever. Very good. So another one, Sue, what do you recommend? Oh, it went away. What do you recommend for cost-effective and inexpensive flowers to use in creating all kinds of installations?
Yeah, there's so many. I actually just did a class yesterday that I recorded, and I used chrysanthemums of all different sizes, all in white, together, like in mass. They look really cool and unexpected. I love using solidago. Love it. Especially when it blooms and gets really fluffy. And that one's a great flower that doesn't need a water source for the length of an event. What else? All sorts of foliages. There's gorgeous wax flower coming out of California right now. That in an installation just by itself would be fantastic and beautiful. Gosh, there's so many. There's so many. Yeah, mums and marigolds. I like to think about flowers that don't need a water source because I am kind of event and wedding and shoot focused. I'm not a retail florist.
Right.
So I'm always kind of, my mind goes there first.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. So let's take out the shoot and the weddings and all of that out. And what are just your favorite seasonal flowers, for you personally?
Yeah. So I live in Michigan. So spring flowers, kind of breathe life back into us here in Michigan. So we wait for so long. So all of the little bulb flowers, I just adore them because they make me so happy. Like we've made it through another winter. So I love lily of the valley. I love all the fancy daffodils. I love all the fritillaria. Yeah. I love muscari so much, grape hyacinth, the light blue. I have some pink in my garden, pale pink. Ooh, so pretty. It also comes in white and like a deeper, almost purple. Yeah, all the bulbs I say are my favorites, and hellebore.
Yeah. Hellebore. Yeah, you used muscari in like your video and intros, I think, right? Yeah, and it was, I love the way they look too. They're just so beautiful.
They look like little jewels. And then there's one that I can't grow here, or it doesn't grow well, Pyrrhus japonica. That's one of my ultimate favorites. I think it's coming out of Oregon right now. I have a little bit in the studio. But it's like these little white jewels that have like a facet. It looks like they're hanging from a ring. What is that called? The little prongs.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
each little floret has like this little bronze colored like facet. It's really cool. It's such a cool flower.
Yes. Yes. Very good. We had another comment come in to you. There wasn't a question, but it's from Snapdragon Bloombark. That's a fun name. She says, or he or she says, I appreciate Sue's communication and how she articulates the meaning behind the project or tangible item. Thank you for keeping floristry sophisticated.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
cool. Blooms Terry, I think. They say, where can we mail order unusual flowers if they aren't at the flower markets?
Well, okay, so I usually buy from local growers or Mayesh. My Mayesh is 20 minutes away from me, so that's my market. But anytime I need something I can't get there, I order from Mayesh, California.
Yeah.
You know,
So,
because they have access to a wider array of things than my Mayesh Detroit. I sound like a commercial right now, but it is the truth. That is what I do.
right.
The LA market has greater availability, and they also will shop the market. If they can't get something, they'll go to other vendors and like shop the market for you. So I don't know if, is that bad to say, Yvonne?
No, it's not bad to say. Yeah, like our LAX and our like LA, those kind of areas, you know, there's a lot of grower kind of markets in that area. So they do get a lot of things, and that type of product can't be shipped all over the place, right? Like to send it to one place is one thing, but if you send it to one place and then to go to another place, it doesn't hold up that well usually, typically. So
Yeah.
And also a lot of times there's like smaller quantities or that type of thing. So they can get things that are kind of local to their area. The same thing as like, you know, our Detroit and Cleveland, like when it's season, they have product too, and we're not shipping that all over the place because it doesn't make sense to do that. But to say also, we are working on some things to work on getting more of that American grown product to more of our branches. So that is a project that we're working on.
Yeah.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, that's
Stay
really
tuned
cool. I have heard a little bit about that, like connecting with more local farms and sourcing regionally.
Yes.
Super
Yes. Yes. And kind of making it more nationally available as well. So we're, you know, obviously there's a lot of logistical challenges that are involved with that and working with the different farms. So but I think we're making some progress, and I think it'll be coming soon.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, like, one of my philosophies or like one of my driving motivations is to make interesting things no matter what I have available to me, you know? So being in Michigan, I can look into the interwebs and get really jealous about all of the stuff that I'm seeing in, you know, the warmer parts of the world this time of year.
Right.
But I can also, you know, get a bunch of yellow daffodils and make something cool out of that. So, you know, I'd say like try to be as creative as you can with what you have available to you. And that might spark, you know, a whole path of creativity that you didn't expect it to. It has for me.
Right. We had another question come in asking about like, does your local rep check with California for you, or so you reach them, or do you reach out to them personally? So I think you have a rep in California, I believe.
I feel like I opened a can of worms.
You did a little bit, but it's okay. We'll talk about it.
Reach out to your rep and see what's possible. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my advice too. Yeah, just talk to your rep, and I guess it also depends on what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Like, most of our branches can get a lot of the things that are available, or they have different options of like how to bring that stuff in. So I think it just depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, having a really great relationship with your rep is, I just think, key in general. So for a successful relationship and kind of helping out with those kind of hard to find items, if that's
or like,
what you're looking for.
I think this is okay. You can talk to the buyer. Like whenever I go to, you know, the branch, the buyer's right there, and I can chat with the buyer and ask questions, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Someone said Mayesh is the fairy godmother of florists. That's so sweet. Thank you. And someone else said, I ordered acacia finger from Mayesh LA to experiment on the burrito. You want to talk about the burrito?
Sure. Yeah, I did a little promotional class to launch the book, and people who pre-ordered got a free class where I showed the burrito technique. Yeah, so the burrito is not something that I invented myself, I don't think. But I started calling it the burrito. I feel like some of these techniques that we have in floristry never get named, so it's hard to talk about them and pass on the information. But all the burrito is a design mechanic that allows you to make all sorts of things and hold them securely in place without single-use hydration sources like foam or water tubes. It's chicken wire that you roll out. I like to stuff it with something that is inexpensive and non-wilting. Curly willow is a perfect example. I like to stuff it and then roll it up and secure it. So then I have this kind of tube that I can shape into all sorts of different forms, and I can start designing it and designing things into it. So the chicken wire has like a few swirls in there in the roll, and then there's the added security of the branches. So when I add materials into the burrito, they really get locked in place. So you can take these burritos and make them as small or large as you want. You can attach them to any structure, you know, any like architectural element at a venue, for instance, or a huppah or an arch or a mandap or whatever, and then just start designing your flowers into the burritos, and then they're really held in place tightly. If you have like wilt-prone things like sweet peas or butterfly ranunculus, you can tuck those in a water tube and tuck those right into the burrito too. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that, is that kind of add-on video kind of course about the burrito? Is that still available if you buy the book?
The pre-order promotion has expired. Yeah, but yeah, but maybe we can figure it out. Maybe, I mean, I'm always happy to talk about the burrito. If anybody has any questions, they can just reach out. Certainly.
Yeah, very good. And I also wanted to ask you, people talked about you as a designer and keeping floristry sophisticated, and you always, I feel like, coming up with ideas and sharing those design mechanics with everyone. And, you know, as we had spent time together in Quito way back in the day, God, that was only, what, was that 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I don't even know. I lose track of time so easily.
2018.
2018, yeah. So 4 years ago, 5. Yeah, I'm not good at math on live.
To go back. It's time to go back.
I know, right? But you did a burrito thing there. But in speaking with you, though, you know, I always recall you just talking about like how you have so many ideas and you need to kind of put them out so that way you have room for new things. And so that kind of just brings me to my next question is, you know, I always feel like you have a lot of different design ideas, and a lot of them are considered more outside of the box, right? And so where do you find inspiration for all of that, whether it's a design mechanic or the actual design itself?
Yeah, I'd say, sorry, I'd say a lot of my design ideas come from identifying like a pain point or a area of floristry that's like ripe for, you know, reimagining, something that might be outdated or something that might be unsustainable or something that might be just not cool anymore or not interesting anymore. I love taking these kind of pain points and sitting with them and trying to add my, you know, point of view to them. So often my design ideas come from some issue that I've experienced in the floral world, or problems that people say that they're having with a given design idea. And then I kind of tweak them and test them and try to, you know, come up with a solution. So that's where a lot of the ideas come from. Yeah. And then sometimes I'm just inspired. I might just be like walking through a store and see a useful object that looks interesting. And then I take it back to the studio and think to myself, what can this be? Is this a useful thing that can improve a process for florists or solve a design issue or improve a design? Yeah, I guess that's where most of my ideas come from.
Yeah. I would love to like live in your brain for a little bit just to see how it all works.
That's very kind. I have heard people say that before. They don't want to live in here. Promise. Promise. But I do have fun.
So
I do have fun.
yes, yes, definitely. I know I put a link for your book. I pinned it because I don't go live directly on Instagram very often, so I'm very proud of myself. I pinned the link for you guys so that we can find out and hopefully support Sue's new book, Flowers for All. But do you want to talk a little bit more about what else is on that website? Because I know you have another book that was published 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I know you're always busy and have a lot going on. Yeah, I have it behind me too.
Yeah. So the first book is The Art of Wearable Flowers. Before I was a florist, I made jewelry as my creative outlet. And so when I found floristry, I really connected to the handiwork of floristry and was just like so happy to be asked to write a book about floral wearables. So that was published in 2020. But yeah, I think there's about 40 projects in there. And yeah, I'm really proud of that book. That was a real labor of love for sure. That was a lot of work, step by step, 40 step-by-step projects.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Someone actually brought up the wearables. Mill Fleur Design says, thank you for redesigning wearables. I was never a fan of corsages, but I love creating cuff corsages and flower tattoos.
Oh, it's great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my first kind of deep dives. Like I said, I fell in love with floristry and I was like super just obsessed with the medium. And I thought it was so exciting and artful and beautiful. And then I got a job at a flower shop and was tasked with making all the corsages, and they looked like they had been made in 1950, like nothing had changed. And I thought there has to be like a better way, a more artful way, a more like updated, modern, sophisticated take on these corsages. So that was my first kind of nerding out moment, and really that deep dive led to me teaching because people started asking me how to make them, and I started, just connecting with people in that way, and then it just kind of snowballed into teaching all sorts of things.
Very good. Very good. Anything else you want to talk about Flowers for All, Sue, since that's why we're here? Anything else that we didn't cover?
Yeah, I just hope that, people read the front matter, because I really poured my heart out there a little bit and talked about the importance of what we do as florists, how it can, the practice of sitting with flowers, how that can, give your life more calm, more presence, more kind of connection to nature, a love and respect of the place where you live and the things that you have access to. And I think that really extends to your work when you take enough time to really sit with the emotions that flowers give you, and think about what you want to express through the medium and how you want to engage the public through your medium. Yeah, I think that adds a richness to what we do, instead of just getting caught up in the busyness of creating, what people ask us to create, like sitting with what we want to communicate through our work. So I hope people, take this little book. It's a little bite-sized book, that can get tucked into your bag, and you can just, I don't know, read it on the beach somewhere, hopefully.
Yes, I love it. And I know you call it a bite-sized book, right? And it isn't a step-by-step guide, but you have a ton of design tips. You do talk about mechanics. You don't skimp on anything, that's for sure. It isn't just pretty pictures. I just wanted to make sure everyone knew that as well, because I wasn't expecting that when I opened it up. I thought it was just going to be just more like pictures and maybe your thoughts on it, that type of thing, how you were feeling. But there is a lot of again, content in there as well. So
Yeah, there's definitely content. And if you're already a florist, then you don't really need the step-by-step. You just need the ideas and the reminder to, test these, design mechanics or techniques or approaches. So yeah, I think the intent was for it to be accessible, approachable, affordable to everyone, flowers for all, but also be juicy enough so that anyone, regardless of skill level, can leave with something important that they can take into their design world and start using. Yeah.
very good. I love it. I did get a question in the question bank, which I totally forgot to check, and it's from Dalen. Hi, Dalen. And he wants to know, how do you stay so curious? I like that question.
How do I stay curious? I think that is a trait that I've had my entire life. Sometimes it's impulsivity. Sometimes it presents as being impulsive and like getting an idea and like exploring it and seeing it to the end and realizing this idea is not good. But I've learned to, I guess, recognize that curiosity does lead to so many beneficial discoveries that I owe it to myself to explore every kind of wild hair that pops up that I feel needs exploring. So I can get frustrated with myself because I do, sometimes there's like hours spent on an idea that I thought was so good. And then, it doesn't lead to anything beneficial. And then I feel like, oh, I wasted all this time and sometimes money. But over the years, I've realized that it does come back in another way. Like every exploration, every like time I give myself to test something, there is some result that's beneficial. Even if it's the realization that this doesn't work, that leads to another idea that might work. So I don't know. I think curiosity is the most important trait that people can have, and we really owe it to ourselves to sit with our curiosity and like explore it. Even if that just means having a sketchbook where you sketch things out or write down ideas and promise yourself to circle back on them when you have time. It can be as simple as that.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And
Yeah.
maybe that is like what you said, like you were born that way. Maybe that's something like you just have.
Yeah, I think everybody has curiosity, but I don't think we give ourselves permission to explore it.
Right.
We might like discount an idea and think like, oh, that's silly or that won't work. But if you just give yourself, the permission to explore it, I think it starts to become a creative habit. Yeah, I do. And then everybody knows that, or everybody maybe can identify with the thought, like you had this idea and you didn't do anything about it. And then somebody else did it and it was amazing. And you think like, oh, why didn't I, So I think we all get these creative inspirations, but we don't all give ourselves permission and time to properly explore them. That might just be the only difference,
Right. Yeah, definitely. Did you see the comment that someone called you the Thomas Edison of floral art?
That's very nice. That's too generous, but thank you. Yeah.
I love that. That was a good one. Sue, do you have, I know you're always involved with so many different things. What do you have coming up?
Yeah, this is a good spring. I have several in-person workshops, which is exciting. In 2 weeks, I'll be in Scottsdale, Arizona, for a workshop called Floramania. I believe registration is closed, but if you're interested, please reach out and we can see if there can be another spot created. Early May, I'm going to Nantucket, and there's a beautiful workshop planned. Hafsa Lewis is the host. It's called Flora, and I think she popped a link in the comments. I saw something go past, but you can also find it in my Instagram profile menu. There's a link. And there's a collection of amazing teachers for that too. That's early May 2nd, I believe, 2nd through 4th. Oh, there's my assistant. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Hafsa, there she is. We met Hafsa in Ecuador in 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got a
We love
beautiful
that.
workshop planned. And then late May in Maryland, I'll be with Grateful Gardeners at their new incredible flower farm. In June, we have something together, Mayesh and Asray Garden. We're doing a benefit workshop in Chicago that will benefit the Black Florist Fund, which I'm super passionate about. And I think that's a brilliant way to like get together as a floral community and boost up this really great endeavor. And then there's a pause for summertime. And then I have a workshop in Mexico City with Holly Chapel and Carlotta Flower Lab, and that's in August. And then there's some other stuff in the fall, but I can't think that far ahead.
Very good. And is all of that listed on your website if anyone was interested?
Yep, you can just go to my profile page. There's a little link there, a hyperlink. You can click it, and then you can get info for all of those workshops. They're all listed there.
Perfect. Very good. Well, Sue, thank you so much for coming on today. I love chatting with you. The last time I think we were chatting about your hashtag, what was it called?
I love florists.
I love florists. Yes. And we had a lot of technical issues that day too. We couldn't hear you. So
Yeah.
I'm glad at least we've had some technical issues still, but we can hear each other, which, you know, we're making progress, I feel like. So that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I should be really good with the tech now because I use it all the time, but I'm cursed. I feel like there's some kind of like electrical issue in my body that just makes things go haywire.
Well, today you weren't cursed. Today it was my issue on my end for whatever reason. So, you know, you're not cursed with technology. It's like you love it and you hate it, right? So there's I love it, and then there's days where it just doesn't want to cooperate. And that's you know, we'll figure it out. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we figured it out. We were able to go live today. Thank you guys for everyone that hung in there with us. Thank you so much. And I did want to let you guys know that we are going to be going live again tomorrow, except this time it's going to be Charity going live with Amy Balsters, the floral coach, and they're going to be chatting about our upcoming national workshop tour, talking about how Cleveland went. Charity was there too. So mark your calendars and stay tuned, and we'll see you tomorrow. And it looked like I got another question. Do you want me to ask you that before we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says, what is your advice on finding your target audience when it feels like clients are accustomed to like old school kind of designs or kind of like outdated type of feeling? Do you have any advice for planty rocks?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough one because every market is a little bit different. When I started my own studio, what I did was I took some time to like document the work that I wanted to be making. At the time, this is, you know, many years ago, shoots were a huge thing. So I participated in a number of shoots and I made sure to get photos that I thought represented, you know, the work that I wanted to be making. And I just started sharing that work as much as possible. So yeah, I think you have to show evidence of the things that you want to make. When people visit your social pages and your website, make sure that it's full of things that you love, that you want to be making more of, so that they can, you know, take your lead on that. I'd say do a lot of networking, you know, like share your portfolio, share your, you know, invite planners to coffee, extend yourself and try to let people in your area know what kind of work you're capable of, so that they can call on you when they get, you know, that perfect client who wants, you know, the look that you create. So I think we all, when we're starting our studios, struggle with that. And we all, you know, I think we all do work that we don't love because we have to, you know, support our families and support our staff and keep the lights on and so on. But the more you can demonstrate the work that you want to be making, the more people will be able to say, yes, I want that. You know, you just have to really kind of blast it out into the world as much as you can.
Right. That's really great advice. I did get another question about floral glues. They want to know what the best floral glue is that we can use.
Yeah, my favorite is Cold Glue Oasis Floral Adhesive. And I did notice, I was at Mayesh yesterday. I did notice it's back on the shelves with some of my other favorites that have been off the shelves, like bind wire and gold jewelry wire. So I bought all of those and stocked up. If you can't get cold glue, or if you, you know, have an aversion to the fumes or just have an aversion to it, you can use hot glue. Like a good quality hot glue gun will work, but I don't put those wearables in the cooler because hot glue shrinks when it gets cold and it can detach from your design. You know, hot glue can also damage like really fleshy flowers like hyacinth, for instance, and that bond isn't, you know, strong because the hot glue kind of scars the fleshy plant tissue.
Right.
So you can get failures, you know, you can get glue failures because of those reasons, the cooler or the wrong kind of material. But yeah, those are my go-tos.
Very good. And then again, just another really great comment from Petals and Stems Market. They say, Sue is amazing. She's an incredible instructor. We have been a part of her community and classes. When I have panic moments, she has taken the time to answer my questions. So
thank you. Yeah, she's been a great community member.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, guys, that is a wrap. Make sure you grab a copy of Flowers for All. Grab them for yourself and, you know, a present. I think it would make a really great present for people. And I let Sue know what you think about her book and maybe what your favorites are. And I'm looking forward to just seeing you grow and blossom, seeing what else you do next, Sue. You are an amazing person and, you know, always supportive of our community of Mayesh. I wanted to say thank you so much for everything. And you know, you're just a rock star of the industry, honestly. So thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. Right back at you. I love Mayesh. I love the family and I love the support, and I love all your Design Star videos. I watched them when I was starting out too. So yeah, it's a great resource. You can tell that you guys care about floristry, and I love that.
Thank you. Awesome. Well, I hope you have an amazing day, Sue. Same to everyone that's watching. Have a great day, and we will see you all soon. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye.